Hi, I'm Jake Grez, also known as Nurse Jake. As a travel nurse, I've worked in all kinds of places, different settings, cities, and climates. Every assignment brings on a new challenge, which is why I always bring my figs. These scrubs are built for whatever the job throws at you. They're breathable, flexible, and comfortable in any environment. No matter where I land, I know they're going to keep me looking and feeling my best. And don't sleep on the details. The pockets, the features, the finishing touches, everything has a purpose and it makes a real difference when you're moving nonstop. The fit is clean, tailored, and super polished, and they come in a huge range of colors. In other words, they feel great throughout a 12-hour shift and they always look good. See every healthcare professional on Instagram. If you work in healthcare or know someone who does, check out Figs and get 15% off your first order at wearfigs.com with code FIGSRX. That's wearfigs.com, code FIGSRX.
You are listening to Hillary Topper on Air. And now, here's your host, Hillary Topper.
Hello and welcome to Hillary Topper on Air, the show that brings you expert advice and inspiring stories to help you navigate business and life. Today, we are tackling a critical and often overwhelming topic: paying for long-term care. The cost can be staggering, and many families are unprepared. How do you plan for it? What are the options? To guide us through this complex landscape, I'm delighted to have Kim Christian with us. Kim is a partner with the Russo Law Group, where she focuses on helping clients plan for their future healthcare needs. Welcome, Kim, to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So let's start off by talking about long-term care insurance. Can you give our listeners an idea of what to expect, how much to pay for this?
Sure. So the cost of care where we live is so high, right? If we need long-term care in a nursing home, we're talking probably on average about $15,000 a month. Right?
Wow.
That's per month, not every 3 months, not every year, $15,000 a month. And home care is not far behind. If I am paying privately for a certified home care giver from an agency, I'm on average between $30 and $35 an hour. So
Wow.
imagine if I need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, times 35, we're well over $12,000 a month.
Mm.
So there's 3 ways to pay for long-term care. There's private. You can privately pay, which is astronomical. There's something called long-term care insurance, which I'm going to answer your question. I'll eventually get there. And then there's also the Medicaid system. But long-term care insurance can be a valuable tool that people use to cover their long-term care if they're ever faced with that high cost. It's a policy that a person takes out that gives them a daily rate for a certain amount of time, depending on what the policy says, and for a certain amount. So that if you have a private pay rate at a nursing home, or you have a private pay rate at home or in assisted living, then this policy will pay out per day or per month for that care. And it covers the care, so you don't have to worry about dipping into your principal or not having enough to pay for your long-term care. So it's a policy you take out to cover your long-term care costs.
All right. So now you also alluded that Medicare could potentially cover it, or can it cover it? Many people think that basically that Medicare covers everything. What does it cover? What doesn't it cover?
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up, because when I'm explaining long-term care planning to my clients, I say there's Medicare with an R, and then there's Medicaid with a D. And I
Mhm.
say it on purpose because they sound a bit similar, but they really cover very different things. And I think it's really important to highlight that. So, Medicare with an R covers your short term care. It covers doctors, it covers hospitals, it may cover a short stay in rehab, but it does not cover long term care if I need an aide to stay in my home with me for the rest of my life, or I need a nursing home.
Mm.
That is covered by Medicaid with a D. And Medicaid with a D has resource tests and income tests and timeframes. So it's really important that you do advanced planning to make sure that if you don't have long-term care insurance or you don't have the funds to cover you in, privately, then you better make sure that you're doing some planning so that if you need to access the Medicaid system to cover your care, you can.
Yeah, that was my next question. Does everyone get Medicaid? And how do you get it? I mean, is it just for people in need, or could a everyday, Long Islander access it?
Right, that's a really good question. So, because the cost of care where we live is so high, that even as you put it, an everyday Long Islander may need to access that kind of coverage, right? I mean, we're talking, as we said, an average of $16,000 a month. So, what you should be doing is proactively planning for your long term care. You sit with your planning attorney and you say, well, perhaps I have the funds to privately pay. And if I don't, well, let's take a look at my long term care insurance policy. Number one, do I have one? Number two, does it say what I think it says? Does it cover me in the amount I think it does? And does it cover me for as long as I need it to? And if none of those boxes are what you have, then you should be planning in advance to access the Medicaid system. And Medicaid is afraid you're going to come see a planner like me, move your assets out in December and say, hey, cover me at $16,000 a month in January. So they instituted for nursing home care only the 5-year look back.
Wow.
And the 5-year look back is a rule that says from the date you want us to cover you in a nursing home, we're going to look back 5 years and we're going to see if you made any transfers out of your name to make yourself eligible.
Hmm.
And if you did, we think you did it on purpose, right? So you got to get past that look back period. And oftentimes, people will create trusts. That's where you hear about trust, so that they can hold some of their assets to protect them in the event they need long-term care. What's interesting is right now they are not implementing a look back period for home care.
Huh.
So you can restructure your assets, perhaps do a trust, so that if you need home care covered by Medicaid, you can access that pretty quickly. So
Hmm.
it's a nice point there.
That's so interesting. So, what about like long-term care insurance? When should you consider buying it? And how much does it cost? I mean, is it really expensive? Is it something that, you turn a certain age and you should really start thinking about it?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I get that asked a lot. And really, there are people who focus and are experts in the area of selling long-term care insurance. So it's really going to depend, they'll tell you this, on the policy you get. So when should you be looking at it, right? Well, it's really going to depend on, your wherewithal to have it, your health, right? You want to start looking at it before there's any sort of deterioration because there's an underwriting component to it, of course. Um, so you want to think about it as early as possible. And then as far as prices are, or fees, or the cost of it, it's really going to depend on what kind of policy you get. So you may have an annual premium of one amount because you've decided to take maybe a smaller daily rate or for a lesser time. Or you may have a very high annual premium, but the coverage, will cover you totally if you were to need 24 hours a day long-term care. So it's hard to give an actual number because it really really will depend on what kind of policy you get and what kind of health you're in when you get it.
Mm. Okay, there's so much to think about. So, what are some of the biggest challenges or mistakes you see families make when faced with a sudden need for long-term care?
Yeah, so when faced with a sudden need for long-term care, and I don't want to call it a mistake. And you know why? Because I really believe at that point people are in a crisis and they're sort of just, doing the best that they can. It's almost a survival mode. So I'd say if you could bring yourself to go to an elder care attorney, because if you were to call it a mistake, or one of the things I wish people would not do is not address it. Say, you know what, we'll piece it together, we'll figure it out, and it just keeps, kind of getting worse. It's like a snowball effect. So I say the soon as you feel that, even before pre-planning, but your question was that, they need it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Soon as a person feels that way, go speak to your elder care attorney right away. Go speak to the resources that are out there, because the quicker you could get that help, that relief, I think the more options you will have. So, to answer your question, if you were to call it a mistake, it's not reaching out right away.
Mm. I think that a lot of people may feel like, well, what do I need an elder law attorney for? I could just go to an insurance broker or what have you. What would your answer to that be? Like, why an elder law attorney as opposed to just straight to an insurance person?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I am a big believer in the team approach, right? We should all work as a team. All of your professionals should be working for you, right? The person who helps you with insurance, your elder care attorney, your financial planner, your accountant. Everybody should be working as a team for you, because we shouldn't have tunnel vision. Right? It should be collaborative. So your elder law attorney gives you the opportunity to show a perspective from, hey, what are all the different options that I have? And maybe it's a hybrid, and maybe we pull the insurance person in. But coming to an elder law attorney whose experience and knowledge lends itself to be able to be giving you the options, that's why you need to go, right? You understand the
Yeah.
details, the nuances, and what you can and can't do.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So, what would be a practical first step that our listeners could do to make this happen?
So a practical first step is to, I always say, be honest with yourself, right? Do sort of a self-reflection and say, if I were to need long-term care, am I prepared? And even if I think I am, I need to get a checkup. And if I'm not, I really need to go meet and call your estate planning and your elder care attorney, set up a meeting, and he or she will tell you, okay, this is where you're at. This is what I think you might need. That way you're not operating in a crisis mode one day. You've already have your peace of mind, so that if it were to ever happen, then you're prepared. So contact your elder care attorney. I think that is the best thing you can do. We at Russo Law Group are always available to help. You could contact us at any time. We would set up a planning meeting and walk you through all of your options.
Yeah, that's great. Um, do you have any case studies of any situations that any of our clients had gone through needing long-term care and you help them get it?
Yeah, yeah. I have several, and one of them that comes to mind, and I think it's relatable. A client called, and he said his wife sadly had a stroke, and he was beside himself, and he said, she at the moment can't come home, even though I want her to, but we can't afford to pay that monthly fee, um, how am I going to keep her safe and how am I going to get her the care that she needs? So we were able to implement a plan where we were able to protect and preserve his assets and her assets, make sure that their home, their security, their home where they lived was protected and their funds. And we were able to access the Medicaid system to get her the care that she needed so they all could have peace of mind and she could get, to the extent better with rehab and care. And then ultimately we were able to get them home or her home and get care in the home covered by Medicaid too. So, sometimes my point is let your elder care attorney help you navigate this because the emotional piece is weight enough, right? Never mind the financial and the legal piece, which we can help steer the ship there.
Yeah. No, I appreciate, thank you very much, Kim. Could you, I want to take a step back now, just totally, off the subject and talk about you. Just give us a little bit about your background, like where you went to school, what you like to do for fun.
Sure. All right. So my name is Kim Christian. Um, Where to start? This is an interesting question. I was born and raised here on Long Island, which I find fascinating. A lot of people find it fascinating. I shouldn't say I have. I stayed, I married, and I live also on Long Island with my husband and my two beautiful children. I went to law school at St. John's University, where in fact I did meet my husband. And I have been with Russo Law Group come February 2020, February 21st, 2026, 20
Wow.
years.
Wow, it's been
So
20
yeah,
years.
I've been with this law firm for 20 years and it's my home. So they've seen me, develop as an attorney. They saw me get engaged. They saw me get married. They saw me have children. They saw me through all the life events. And I have been blessed enough to be able for over these 20 years work with the clients of Russo Law Group. And I feel that I'm helping people and that's very,
Definitely.
very important to me. So that's a little bit about me. I practice, we have 3 locations. We have Islandia, Garden City, and Lido Beach. I work out of the Garden City office and I also manage the Lido Beach office. So I'm in Lido Beach a lot as well. Again, lucky enough to be able to see all my clients in both locations. And I do elder law, estate planning, and special needs planning,
Terrific.
all which, serve to help people.
And how can people get in touch with you, Kim, to learn more about you and the firm and book an appointment?
Yeah. So there's a couple of ways. I am a huge fan of our website, right? www.vjrussolaw.com. And I'm a huge fan because it's not just a way to get in touch with us, it is a gem of a resource. We have all of our practice areas, we have blogs, we have articles, and facts, and it's just a wealth of information. And you can make an appointment that way, or you could call us, right? Our phone number is 516-683-1717. We have a client services department that would be happy, to hear of your situation and make a convenient appointment for you in any one of our locations.
It's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today and shedding some light about long-term care insurance. And it is a very important topic, and I think we all at some point need to address this.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Special thanks to the Russo Law Group, Long Island's estate planning, elder law, and special needs law firm. For more information, contact vjrussolaw.com. That's V as in Victor, jrussolaw.com. And Playtry. everything swim, bike, and run. For more information on Playtry, go to Playtry, PLAYTRI.com/store. Or for franchise opportunities, go to playtry.com and you could own your own swim, bike, and run store locally.
Tired of your car insurance rate going up, even with a clean driving record? You're not alone. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry compares rates side by side from over 50 top insurers and helps you switch with ease. Jerry even tracks market rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Switch with confidence. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/Libsyn today. That's JERRY.ai/LIBSYN.